We are live back with another
Hey.
edition of your Wildest Fantasy Football Show,
Yes,
an
sir.
NFC South edition. Cody got tropical with it, ready to talk about the South.
Oh yeah.
You look like you're headed down for vacation. Out of
Yeah.
these cities,
Mhm.
we got Carolina, we got Tampa,
Right.
we got New Orleans,
New Orleans.
and we got Atlanta. Hot Atlanta.
We got Charlotte, not Carolina.
Yeah, Charlotte.
I didn't want to correct him. He was on a roll.
Which would you like to take that shirt? Maybe take a nice briefcase and go on vacation to.
So New Orleans has fantastic cooking. I mean, we gotta just state that right off the rip there. Eat it right up. Then
That sounded disgusting.
it was great. So that's just first
For
and
some of
foremost
us.
right there. Yeah. But Tampa Bay, baby. I mean, the history, the heritage down there.
What's happened to Tampa Bay?
If you don't know, you don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that if you're not in the loop, you're out the loop. So for me, it's going to have to be
That is
Tampa
probably
because
how
I'm
it
in the
works.
know. Yeah. I mean, New Orleans is a close second. Carolina, Charlotte, as other people would say, except for Kent or Condo here, just says Carolina. But Carolina, they ain't got peaches. It's not the Sunshine State. They ain't got cooking. I mean, is it really South? In Atlanta, Georgia, they got the peaches, baby. Peaches and cream. So to me, I'm going to have to go Tampa Bay final answer.
All right.
I think we're all just happy to be here today.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the South after Cody painted that beautiful picture of it. I'd rather be in Tampa Bay with all of the heritage, most importantly.
Yeah, heritage in Tampa. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. I mean,
I don't think I want to go to New Orleans after hearing it sounded like a honey badger almost.
you just gotta be careful. I mean, there's animals down there you don't even know about. All right, there's
Honey Badger did try out for the Saints.
yeah, he
He
did.
is on the Saints.
Well,
He is
I mean,
on the
debatable.
Saints.
Debatable.
I think we need to do a segment now where we name a player and Cody just makes a sound. Maybe like that for one of them. Or maybe whatever
do it.
comes out.
Any noise. Yeah, I can. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay, that might have to be added to the list. Let's get right into it with fantasy face-offs. First one might be your first running back, might be your second running back. Both of these guys going around the second round. Both of these guys with some big question marks.
True.
Alvin Kamara. Okay. Versus Leonard Fournette.
The Frenchman.
Who are we going with?
Bon Jovi. Okay. Give me Alvin Kamara. I think I'll give you like a quick synopsis of why. I think the Bucs are just going to pass more. They have better wide receivers. Their core is just fantastic. I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones. They have the guys.
Russell Gage.
Exactly. They got guys to eat up targets.
Jalen Darden. Rashad Perriman.
Everybody. I mean,
list goes on.
Scotty Miller.
Fancy 7. Give me the guy who has to be the number one on his team. Give me Alvin Kamara. There is a looming suspension potentially. We don't know. That's up in the air. But as things are standing right now, he's not set to be suspended for any games. He's set to play all season. So give me that guy who averages close to 20 points a game.
I'm also taking Kamara here. I think the potential looming suspension is kind of scaring people into forcing his ADP into the second round, which I think is a great value. I think there's a bit of a a gap between where you're seeing Alvin Kamara currently drafted versus Fournette. It's still very, very early, just, a couple picks sway. Tampa Bay did draft Rashad White this year, so that will be interesting to see how that plays out. We saw the Buccaneers start to favor Fournette down the line last year, kind of was sick of Rojo. Giovanni Bernard was there, didn't really play that much of a role in they have Keyshawn Vaughn too. But again, regardless, it'll be interesting to see like how it plays out. But I think just based on pure opportunity and role in the offense, I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara here.
Mhm.
My
Yeah,
gosh.
This is where I'm going to bring the thunder, as you could probably tell. Just erupting into Cody's studio. I'm going with Big Lenny. Pretty handily too.
Young Ghetto Lenny.
Wow.
I don't know anything about that. I'm
I don't
going to
know.
go pure
I don't know how.
large Lenny.
Yeah,
I'm a big St. John fan.
I'm a big
Okay.
Lil Wayne guy myself, but
There's a lot of things out here. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. I'm going Leonard Fournette.
Mhm.
I'm probably the highest person on Leonard Fournette in fantasy football. If I could roll up Leonard Fournette into some kind of wrap and smoke him, I may.
I was not sure where you're going with that. I mean,
I have
are you
Leonard
hungry?
Fournette as my running back 6 right now, which
okay.
is right outside my top tier of running backs with McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler.
Right.
You look at the offense, and I think that's probably where a lot of it comes from. This is an offense that I think we all expect to be awesome, an offense that we all expect to score a lot of points. And I think that's a big part of it. The touchdowns are going to be there. You look at the receptions last year, he had 69 receptions. And he missed, what was it, the final 3 games? Yeah.
Mhm.
Against Carolina, Jets, and Carolina, which he might have just feasted on those teams.
And still finished as the running back 7 on the year.
Yeah. And he would have finished number 1 if he played those games. I don't know about number 1, but he would have finished
Over Jonathan
possibly
Taylor is a hot take.
much higher
He
because
would have finished over Ezekiel Elliott.
and I think the opportunity for more touchdowns, you look at guys that could have the years like Austin Eckler had last year, like Jonathan Taylor had last year, where they had like something crazy touchdown wise. Jonathan Taylor had 20 touchdowns. How many did Austin Eckler have?
20.
20 touchdowns. I think Leonard Fournette's in a good enough offense where he can be that guy. And then the Alvin Kamara suspension scares me. I think it scares me even more now because when did the hearing got pushed back to like September?
September 30th, I think. Or something like that.
And
Week
I'm
3, week
scared
4.
that it's gonna something might happen when the season matters most.
Mhm.
And I don't want to go into the playoffs missing a guy that I relied on all season with Alvin Kamara.
That's fair. I mean, they're in the same tier for me, so I mean, I'm not gonna be upset if someone takes Fournette over Alvin. I just think the upside is there for Alvin Kamara more than Lenny. Just me personally, I'm gonna go Alvin Kamara first and then Leonard, but they're in the same tier for me. You can't really go wrong with picking one of these guys unless a suspension is handed out to Kamara, then don't pick him up.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really holds Kamara back for me. If there was no questions of suspension, I honestly don't know who I would pick. But having that looming, and honestly, I am more concerned now that something's going to happen just later in the year. I don't know how much they can push that back or what the ramifications are. I'm not a lawyer, although my aunt's name is Sue. I don't know.
I think, yeah, I mean, you do raise a good point. I mean, there's a big question mark here. Again, these guys are in similar ADP ranges. I think you have to go with the more guaranteed option here. But if you want to go for it depends how risky you want to be. Do you want to just, kind of ride the wave in Tampa Bay, or do you want to, go get a knockdown with a honey badger in New Orleans? Take your pick. There it is.
Same battle here. We got Chris Godwin, who we talked about on Monday, back to practice, missed the PUP, isn't placed on that, versus Michael Thomas, another guy coming off of injury. Haven't seen him for a couple years now. Both going around similar ADP.
Mm-hmm.
I think Godwin's going a little bit earlier.
Higher.
Who are we going with in this debate?
That's tough.
I thought this one would be pretty universal.
I think I'm going to go Chris Godwin first, but there's a world you can pick both these guys up. I would do it. I think Michael Thomas was a fantastic talent. Then he had the ankle injury, missed all the season. If the Saints come out and they're like, he looks great, we see a video of him just looking fantastic out there, I'm going to go MT. But as of right now, Chris Godwin's going to be my guy.
I think since we see Chris Godwin come back, but I haven't seen any reports of him facing any restrictions. We know he's just gotten back to practice, so it's going to take him, a week to get caught up to speed. But we know Chris Godwin's role in the Tampa Bay offense is insane when healthy. Some could say he's Brady's favorite target. So I think for that reason, just based on quarterback play, I mean, we know Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. I don't think that is even a discussion. So I'm going to take Chris Godwin, but like Cody said, there is a world that you could draft both of these guys. And we've seen Michael Thomas perform in 2019 and before. When healthy, he's just a dynamic player in that Saints offense, and his role is just unprecedented. So, I mean, if you can get both of these guys, I would happily start these two men every week on my fantasy roster.
You could pick them up in the 5th and 6th. That's kind of where Chris Godwin's kind of going end of the 5th. Michael Thomas is going late 6th. You got the 10th, 11th pick. You could pick both those guys up on the back end swing of 5 and 6. I think that's a great option. I think it's a good strategy. You have Chris Godwin for the first part, and if Michael Thomas takes a couple weeks to get acclimated, so be it. You got Chris Godwin is going to be fantastic. And then finish off the rest of the season with Michael Thomas. I mean, that's a deadly option right there.
It's just crazy how it's crazy how we're in the year that we're in, and we see Michael Thomas going in the 6th round. I mean, this guy just a couple years ago was going in the top 10 of fantasy drafts. So just to see the potential here is insane.
I expect Godwin to rise, especially after the news that we heard. He already is. I think he's already up from wide receiver, I think it was like 30-something to now wide receiver 23. And as of recording, it's only been – actually, we recorded one episode an hour ago. As of – from the start of that episode to this episode, he's up one more spot to wide receiver 22.
You're gassing him up.
And he was like wide receiver somewhere in the 30s. starting like a couple days ago. So Godwin's going to be, I believe, a top 18 at least draft pick by the time drafts roll around. Michael Thomas is interesting. He's also surging up spots. He started in the 30s and now is up to 28. I think both of these guys are big names that are going to climb. I just trust Godwin a little bit more with Tom Brady, and we kind of know the role. A lot of new guys. It's been a good amount of time since Michael Thomas has been there. I still like Michael Thomas a lot. I still have him above ADP. I still have him as a wide receiver too. But out of these two guys, you're happy to have either of them. I think you're happy to have both of them for sure. I would rather take Godwin. Let's go into true or false here.
This always stumped me in school.
Yes, a very common school question. These are things, for the most part, I believe. I will say there's one that I don't. There's one that I kind of do, and then there's two that I'm very passionate about. You may be able to tell those. I'd be interested if you guys could recognize them. And we're going to start off with DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. DJ Moore will be a wide receiver 1 with Baker Mayfield. We don't even know if Baker's going to start. That's a pretty big assumption here. But maybe that's part of the expectation. I'm also expecting Baker to start, part of the prediction. True or false?
False.
I'm going to say true. Again, there is no right answer right now. We don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be.
That is true.
But that is true. But with what we know, just given how, everything is trending up to see Baker Mayfield starting week 1, I think he provides DJ Moore with greater value than Sam Darnold. Will he be a wide receiver 1 is the question here. I think he'll be
It's a
mid
statement.
to low end wide receiver 1. I don't think you're drafting him as your wide receiver 1 in drafts, but I think you're taking him as okay. I think you're taking him as your wide receiver 2 on your fantasy roster, and you are setting him in your lineup and forgetting about it.
The way I interpreted the question was DJ Moore, wide receiver 1. I took that as 1 through 12 fantasy wide receiver. I also kind of put that also parallel to wide receiver 1 for your team. I can't see it for both. The people going behind DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Scary Terry, Deontay Johnson, DK, Mike Williams, Brandon Cooks, Chris Godwin. I mean, those are some guys who Baker's been on a run-first team his entire time. He also overthrew Odell. Like, there's a whole 10-minute diss track from Odell's father that you can find of OBJ being wide open in the middle of Arkansas and Baker throwing it to Wyoming. I mean, it's just bad quarterback play. So I have a harder time seeing DJ Moore and Baker being able to be a wide receiver 1 combination.
In Baker's defense,
Deep ball percentage.
I want to pull up a map. Okay, that might not be. Yeah,
Are you pulling up a map of the United States?
Yeah, that is tough for Baker. Wyoming is further away from Cleveland than Arkansas. I was going to say you could probably put some of the blame on Odell for being in Arkansas when there's no NFL stadium there. But when he's throwing it to Wyoming, that's a really tough look, a little bit further away.
Go Hogs.
Doggy.
Yeah, I mean, I think DJ Moore is going to be a wide receiver 1 with Baker. What can I say? you look at just the target share that he gets. He got with Sam Darnold. I think he's a really good receiver, and I don't think Baker's going to be afraid to throw it to the guy. There are a lot of question marks. I am not going to say that. I think there's a lot of question marks at the receiver position in general this year, but when I look at the upside, I think DJ Moore certainly has the upside to be in maybe not that top tier of guys, but anything after that, like I wouldn't be shocked if DJ Moore finishes the year around where CeeDee Lamb is. Do I have that as my expectation? No. But I wouldn't be shocked by it.
Okay.
Kyle Pitts is the most overrated player in fantasy.
False. I mean, blasphemy coming out of your mouth right now. I mean, the stones you must have against Kyle Pitts have to be astronomical. I mean, the asteroid that came and killed the dinosaurs 55 years ago is nothing. Nothing compared to the rocks you are throwing at Kyle Pitts right now. I mean, this poor man not only has to duck a shitty offensive line, but now he's duck comments from you, Kondo. This is just, I can't stand for this. Thank God I'm sitting down.
He doesn't have to duck. I feel like I'm in the minority here. I don't know that he's the most. I would have to do some math, but I think he is pretty overrated in fantasy. Not as a football player. I think he's a very good football player. But there's an important thing here. The Atlanta Falcons stink.
Which means they don't pass the football.
Yeah, but they had to pass the football last year. And he was tight end 6. Okay. So why is he getting – and they had a better quarterback. So why are we expecting him to finish as the tight end 3 this year? What is the big change? I know you're going to say touchdowns. I wouldn't want to bank on Atlanta to score touchdowns. That's not something that I would feel comfortable doing, saying, oh, you know what my team's missing? A couple Atlanta touchdowns. I never want to say that. And that's what scares me with Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
he had 110 targets last year.
Yeah.
And I think 110 targets equals more than 1 touchdown. I really, really do. I think if you get thrown the ball 110 times, 5 touchdowns is a reasonable number. That's less than 5%. Quite literally less than 5%. 4.9, I believe. 4.8, if I do my math right. I think that's a fair assessment. One thing you're kind of missing here is the talent that Kyle Pitts has. We're putting a lot of emphasis on the Falcons are bad. Amen. They're terrible. Absolute dog water. So they're going to have to throw the football. I think that's where the volume and opportunity they have no one, which is why it benefits him. George Kittle has to compete. Dalton Schultz has to compete. Darren Waller has to compete. Kyle Pitts doesn't have to compete with anyone but Cordero, and Cordero is a limited touch sort of guy. Cordero Patterson doesn't get that many touches. He just is beyond efficient with the few touches he gets. You can say what you want about it, but it's kind of true. I mean, it was true except for the fantasy playoffs last year. But we won't talk about that because I will not talk bad about Cordero Patterson. Kyle Pitts he could have more targets than 110 this year. I would not be surprised. They're going to have to throw the football. They play 17 games after, the bye week. You're saying less than 5 targets a game is kind of what you're putting on for Kyle Pitts here, which I think
he only caught 60% of those targets. And I don't think that's because of him. I think that's just because their offense is doo-doo. And they're going to be worse this year because they don't have Matt Ryan. And they have 2 quarterbacks that are running is a big part of their game. And they're not known as pocket passer quarterbacks. I'm just worried about how he's going to get the ball. And especially how those quarterbacks, even if everything was perfect, which it's not, like, are going to perform behind that offensive line, which I think hurt Matt Ryan a lot last year, and by default, hurt everyone on that offense, most importantly, Kyle Pitts, who's awesome.
Matt Ryan is not a mobile quarterback, which you've said probably 10,000 times, which I think everyone knows. Marcus Mariota is. Shitty offensive lines and mobile quarterbacks kind of go hand in hand. The play breaks down, Matt Ryan throws a bad pass or gets sacked. The ball is deflected in the air. A bunch of things happen. Marcus Mariota, line breaks down. He can run to the outside. Granted, he would take off a lot more than Matt Ryan will, but he's also going to be out of the pocket, free space, free range of motion to throw. He will find Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was open a lot more than the 68 targets or receptions he had last year. Watching the games, he was open way more than that. It was bad throws, bad pockets. I'm not blaming Matt Ryan. I'm just blaming the offensive line for being, doo-doo. But having a mobile quarterback to be able to escape, find him, you're looking at it as, oh no, he's not going to get 68 receptions this year.
I think he's good. I expect it to be a lot more like last year, which I don't think is worth drafting in
the third round,
fourth round.
Well, it'd be late third.
It doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't matter to me anyway.
But the people going around him are you picking a quarterback in the first 3 rounds?
Let me look at positions. I'd much rather have Zeke, Josh Jacobs.
Zeke already went. Josh Jacobs already went.
Not true.
Zeke's at 42. Zeke's 42. I'm out looking at ESPN right now. Zeke's 42. Kyle Pitts is 42. They're both going around the same spot. I'd rather have Michael Pittman. I'd rather have Deontay Johnson for sure. I'd rather have Mike Williams. A lot of receivers. And I think it's mainly like I think Dalton Schultz is going to be better. We talked about that earlier this week. We don't have to get into that argument again. And he's going 24 spots later. I'd much rather have that than and wait. And a lot of these guys I think are going to be closer. Like I think Zach Ertz has the potential to have a hotter start than Kyle Pitts.
I'm going to say true to this question because I don't know if you can draft Kyle Pitts with confidence. I think you should draft a safety blanket tight end as a backup plan because, again, like you both have said, these are mobile quarterbacks that the Falcons are playing with this year. So the opportunities might not present themselves as they did last year. We see with similar, guys, similar tight ends like Kyle Pitts. I mean, you have Kittle, who has a guaranteed share. Darren Waller's got a guaranteed share. And, those targets are just going to come because those, Derek Carr's not as mobile as, as Mariota and Ritter potentially could be. So I think
Lance is not a mobile quarterback.
We know that Trey Lance can, I think people believe in the talent of Trey Lance a lot more than they do in Marcus Mariota.
And Darren Waller is also now playing alongside one of the best wide receivers in the game in Devontae Adams.
But that's a team that's going to score points. San Francisco, we expect to score points. Arizona, if you gave me over-under on Arizona touchdowns, 2.5 for the whole year, I might think about that a little bit. Or not.
The Cardinals, Atlanta. 2.5 touchdowns. Got it. Hot take from Condo.
If you asked me the over-under on Atlanta touchdowns for the season, 2.5, I would think about it. More than now, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But I think about it much more than any other team. Would we be surprised if the Atlanta Falcons score less points, have less touchdowns than any other team in football?
Yes.
I would not.
Okay. I do have a question for you.
Okay.
Since you guys both said he is the most overrated player in football.
In fantasy. In fantasy,
yes,
not
right.
football.
Going at the end of the third, early fourth. Brees Hall going before your Ezekiel Elliott, your Leonard Fournette, your Aaron Jones, your Nick Chubb. Brees Hall, a rookie, going to the Jets.
Where is that?
Sleeper. He is going mid-second round on my board right now.
Well, that's
And the
an
draft I did,
exception
he's
to
going.
that's an exception to the rule. On
mean-
sleeper ADP, he is behind. He's behind Zeke at least. He's ahead of some big names like Jacobs, Gibson, Mitchell, Dobbins, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt. I don't think he's as overrated as Kyle. I think just because he's going around the same spot, but it's a running back position, which I think is a little bit more important. It's going to give you more points, and I expect him to deliver more points on the year than Kyle Pitts. It's a sad look, and I don't think it's going to get much better. Cordero Patterson will finish outside the top 36 running backs. I said it. Is this the one that I don't believe? Perhaps. But either I could have said he's going to finish inside the top 24, which then Cody would have agreed with, or I could start a little fire in the belly, get a little debate going. So I'm arguing Cordero Patterson will finish outside the top 36 running backs. True or false?
False. By probably 14 picks is my guess.
Yeah.
Cordero Patterson will finish as a fringe running back 1 this year.
I don't think that's how the numbers work.
12 or 36 minus 14.
It's 22.
Exactly. Fringe running back 1.
Does that put him in the fringe running back 1?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it does.
Okay.
I'm going to say false. 36 running backs is a lot. And I don't think he'll be a top 10 running back. But I don't think he will be number 37. I think he's top 27.
Okay. I think the lowest on him in this group, which I did not expect. I don't have him outside of my top 36. It could happen. I think that's kind of the concern with, like Cody said, the volume, and then like me and Kenny said, the offense and the touchdown opportunity. But I have him as my running back 29 as of right now. I'm a little surprised that it sounds like, Kenny, you have him at 27.
No, did I say 27?
Yeah.
I have him currently as my running back 35.
Okay. So that's where the discussion is for you. So you are the closest to putting him there.
Yeah.
It could happen. It's hard to argue for it, but
I'm just not a big Cordero Patterson fan. I don't think you're not drafting him for upside.
I've had the same argument or the same conversation. It's like, it's hard to see the upside, but at the same time, what was he in the beginning of the season? He was an upside running back. And that's why I think the Cordero conversation is so hard, because you're like, okay, tough offense, guy who is going to probably get like closer to like 12 to 15 touches than like a 20 touch per game guy. I don't really know if the upside's there. And then he started off the season last year with like 9, 24, 16, 35, 18. Like he just had some massive weeks. So Cordell's just a weird conversation to have, and like a tough player to really gauge the value on. I'll give a little bit of a few names to throw out there before we move on. Would you rather have Cordero Patterson or Miles Sanders?
Cordero Patterson.
Probably Miles Sanders.
I'm going Miles Sanders as
Mhm.
well. I don't think it's like I wouldn't trash anybody for whatever they choose there, though. Cordero Patterson or Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt.
I'm going Kareem Hunt.
Again, like I said, I mean, just not a dig at Cordero Patterson as a player. I'm passing on him every time. I will soak in the disappointment of him, potentially having 20, 25 points in a week.
Maybe a little bit of targeting a debate between you two, but AJ Dillon or Cordero Patterson?
AJ
Cordero.
Dillon.
You
AJ
want the
Dillon.
handcuff to Aaron Jones versus
I wouldn't
the
say he's a
starter.
handcuff. I think it's more of a 1A, 1B type conversation. Again, just better offense in Green Bay than Atlanta. And I think I don't think there's as many question marks.
I think people put too much faith into Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams. And I think that the whole team now, who's their number one guy? It's Aaron Jones. I don't think any wide receiver on that team is scaring you like Aaron Jones scares you, which means more crowded boxes, more blitzes, more, attention paid to the backfield. I get it. AJ Dillon, 187 attempts last year, 800 yards, 37 targets. I get that. I get that sort of like flair, kind of, or the attraction. But that was when you had the
Big
most
quads also.
Yeah, I mean, but that's when you had the most dominant wide receiver in the game, demanding double teams on the outside. That was the team's number one focus, was stopping the Aaron Rodgers Devontae Adams connection. That is not here this year, which is why Aaron Jones took a little bump for me. I still love him, but AJ Dillon took a massive bump for me. It's not a 1B for me. It's more as a handcuff now.
I'm also going Cordero in that conversation. CMC is the no doubt number one overall player in fantasy football. It doesn't matter what your format is. I don't care if you play super flex leagues. I might care a little bit if you play super flex leagues. But for the sake of this argument, I don't care. I don't care about anything. I don't care if your league automatically deducts 10 points just because you have CMC on your team. CMC, 100% the best player in fantasy football. True or false?
False.
Should be the number one pick in fantasy football also in every draft.
False. Okay. Miles Sanders and AJ Dillon are obviously 1A, 1B in terms of every fantasy draft.
Ahead of Cordero Patterson. That's
right. Well,
it's a bold claim.
Yeah. Let the fools be fools and lead them no longer. A quote from the great and almighty.
Who's that?
Well, if you don't know, you don't know, Ken. It's like Tampa
they're
Bay
probably
history.
They're probably from Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
If you don't know, you don't know.
I heard Tampa's got a big LARPing scene, so I think with that in mind, I think I'm gonna answer this as true.
Okay. I think Jonathan Taylor, Josh Allen, those are two guys that just pop into my head right away. Besides those two, I don't think so. Top three, absolutely. But Jonathan Taylor and Josh Allen are both, quarterbacks just score more points naturally. Cooper Kupp was kind of the outlier last year, but
Are you saying Josh Allen? I should have probably phrased this a little bit better. As far as I was going more so for he should be the number one pick in every draft.
Oh, gotcha.
Do you think?
I think Jonathan Taylor. I have Jonathan Taylor ranked above him every time I do it. CMC's number two. But if you pick CMC number one, you have a great player. I don't know. The injury concerns for me. Jonathan Taylor doesn't have them. CMC does. So there's a little doubt in my mind. So to answer your question, no doubt, there's doubt.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people are as far as the Jonathan Taylor versus CMC debate. My only thing is I feel like there's no injury concerns until there are. Like there was no injury concerns with Derrick Henry until he got hurt. There wasn't any injury concerns with CMC until he got hurt. I get that CMC is a little bit more like slight in his build. I don't know. I love Jonathan Taylor, obviously, Colts fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you just look at every time CMC steps out on the field and he scores 20 points. It feels like he instantly does.
Yeah, but CMC hasn't played a full season since 2019. Missed games in 2020, missed games in 2021. That's just why when CMC's on the field, you're right. There's not a more fun player to watch. But if you're picking 1.1, Jonathan Taylor is my no doubt guy who I think.
So you're saying there's no argument Jonathan Taylor should be the number one in all drafts? All normal drafts?
Yeah, not dynasty, but like standard PPR half point. Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan Taylor should be the 1.1.
I would take Jonathan Taylor number one in dynasty.
I don't know.
Dynasty, yes. But we also, we haven't seen the number one overall running back repeat as number one in back-to-back seasons ever. So,
food for thought.
Yep.
Food for thought. All right.
Let's get into, I think, our segment. This might actually be one of the more helpful because this is down the line on guys that are either going to go late in drafts, might go undrafted. More of the guys that I think people haven't really formed as strong of opinions on. Flyer wide receivers or nah, man. I'd rather have a meat cleaver. And let's start this
I am hungry.
With Russell Gage, wide receiver 51. That's probably trending down too. I haven't looked at that. But with the addition of Julio, I'm interested to see. Yeah, he's fallen 20 picks in the last week. So he's trending down a bit. But is Russell Gage still worth taking a late round flyer on, taking at the end of your draft?
Absolutely.
I'd like to hear the argument for that. I'm intrigued.
My turn?
Yeah, you had the argument point.
Wow. We've seen this Tampa Bay offense support, 3 wide receivers. It did last year. It supported the tight end too. So, we say what you want. There's Tom Brady's going to throw the ball. So there's value. There's great value here. I think you're taking Russell Gage in the Tampa Bay offense over, really any other late round guy. But I will also say though, the upside could be there if a guy was to get hurt, but are you really banking on injuries? No. If you're looking for more just, a safe option in the late rounds, if that's your draft strategy, I don't think Russell Gage is a bad pick.
I guess if you're picking him up in like the 10th round or
he's going
like that.
135 right now.
So
yes,
10th,
that's about
right?
the 11th. No, it's the beginning of the 12th round.
12.
And I think that's only going to go down, to be honest.
Yeah. I guess like right now I would take him. Like that late, it's a flyer. He has upside. Julio's injury concerns, Mike Evans' injury concerns, Chris Godwin's injury concerns. I can see the upside being there, but he's not a guy you're going to plug and play week 1 as of right now. Like there's no injury news. I guess I'd take him. I mean, it's a late round flyer, is what it is. He'd probably be your wide receiver 3 or 4, probably 4 at this point. He's going in the 11th. So there's no pressure to start him. I'm fine with it, I guess. It's just not the sexiest pick I could think of.
That's a great way to put it.
And going into probably the more sexier pick in this offense for late round flyers, Julio Jones. He's taller.
You got to bring looks into it.
Yep.
Well, I'm just saying I feel like that's where people judge often the sex appeal. I would much rather have Julio Jones than Russell Gage. I'm probably not taking Russell Gage. I'd shoot my shot on Julio Jones. You just seen the upside, I think, from one point of view. That's a part of it. You see that at one point in the year before he decided to go shirtless and just leave in the middle of the game, AB was one of their best performing fantasy wide receivers. So I don't think that can be ruled out for Julio.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be banking on that, but you're not banking on it based on ADP of wide receiver 60. So
That's true.
I think the upside there is pretty high as long as he stays healthy. And if he doesn't stay healthy, then you took him in what? At later than the 12th round. So I'm probably going with Julio in, I would say, a decent chunk of drafts. Wait.
Yeah, I'm not loving the Julio option, but again, you're getting him for free, basically. Sure, take Julio. They're going to pass, which is weird because Tampa's going to be up because they have a good defense. But Tom Brady likes to throw the football, so they're going to do what Tom Brady wants. And a lot of viable fantasy options. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I would say my last note there too is when or if Julio goes off early in the year, he's Julio Jones. So there's going to be people in your league that are interested.
Yep.
If Julio is the number one performing fantasy receiver in the first week or 2 weeks of the season, people are going to bite on those trade offers because it's Julio Jones. It's a name that they recognize. And again, we've seen how AB did here. So I think that's another very intriguing thing about Julio. Sometimes that name recognition is very important, especially when it comes to trades.
Name value.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into a running back here. The Atlanta Falcons, Tyler Algier, drafted it.
Is there an E in there? Is that a silent E or a?
There may be. If you expected our producers work very hard on this show, so let's not call them out for every little mistake that they make, but they're
Just
working on a lot
like
right now.
Yeah,
they may be making some. I wouldn't even say mistakes. I would just say there's some hurdles that they have to overcome throughout this show, and that's just one of the small ones.
Yeah. We will pay for our producers to go back to second grade and learn how to spell.
Well, no one's getting paid for anything here, so I'm gonna give you guys a chance right now. I'm gonna start with Cody because I have more faith in Kenny. How do you spell Tyler Algier? And please don't be looking at it.
Okay. ALLGEIER.
No.
Wait, was I close?
No.
Wait, was I close or no?
No, I think you may have been more wrong than I was. It's debate.
How do you spell Tyler Algier then?
Kenny, Kenny, you're looking at it?
No, not looking at it.
Okay.
ALLEGIER. Regardless, I think he does have some hurdles to climb in his current situation. I mean, you guys are high on Cordero Patterson, and so is, I don't even know who their coach is, Arthur Smith.
Yep.
They obviously gave him the ball a lot last year with Mike Davis being around. They did draft Tyler Algier this year. They also have Damian Williams, which that's a gross name to include in that conversation. But there are mouths to feed, and also they're dealing with more mobile quarterbacks. But I guess just in terms of opportunity to build his name in this backfield, I'm not going to pass up on him in fantasy drafts. I'll take a fly on him.
A guy that could have a decent role, like 10 carries a game, and then if something happens with Cordero Patterson, even if something doesn't happen with Cordero Patterson and they just choose to use him in more of a wide receiver role, I think Tyler Algier, where he is, which is like he's going as running back 51.
Mhm.
You look at Jamal Williams, Kenny Drake, Ken Gainwell, Gus Edwards, Rashad White, Darrell Williams. I think he probably has much upside as most of those guys, to the point of like, if he gets his opportunity, he could become, I think, the main runner for that team. I don't know that I would bank on it. You don't have to. I'd take a shot on him. I'm not against that.
He's what, 5'11", 5'10", something like that. Smaller guy, 220. I don't think he's going to be powerhousing through people.
220 is pretty big.
Maurice Jones-Drew territory.
I think Maurice Jones-Drew is even shorter.
Yeah, but if he's shorter and stockier, it's hard to tackle him. You got a 6'7" guy trying to fall down on you. Easier to avoid. I don't know. I think Maurice, he was 5'9".
It's 5'7".
Even better. Who's going to grab that guy? No one. That's ankle height for everybody. No wonder he had 2K yards. Anyway.
He definitely did not have 2K yards.
Yeah, he had 2K yards. Anyway, he gets yards in 2K, kind of. He has 2K
This guy's
yards.
playing backyard baseball.
Yeah. Anyway, if you want to use, your 12th, 13th round pick or whatever on Tyler Algier, go for it. I just don't. I think it's a waste of a pick. And
well, then don't go for it.
Well, I'm not going to, but other people can.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say my reason why. I think you guys have been very adamant on saying Atlanta will not score. Atlanta will be behind. Atlanta this, Atlanta that. This guy was not a pass catcher. He was more of a stereotypical running back. I believe he had 29 targets or receptions his senior year. Just not he's not a swinging back. So I don't think he has that upside of being the third down running back coming in. I think Cordero kind of has that. Cordero showed that he can, get very limited touches, very limited opportunities, and just shine with it. So I think, if anything, Tyler Algier, Damian Williams, there will be the first, second down guys. They'll just be kind of just trucking into the D lineman behind a shitty offensive line. I'm not excited about it, but I can see where people would be.
Yeah. I think the difference as far as the offense is concerned is just I agree. It's going to be tough for him to still produce behind that offensive line and a team that you don't expect to score that much. But I think that's kind of baked into him going in round 15, 16. You're taking a shot. You're not banking on him at that ADP. Let's get into some offenses that should be better and offense that should be better with our last two here. Chris Olave going as wide receiver 45. We talked about Michael Thomas earlier. We're going to talk about the other receiver in the mix there with our next one of these. What do we think about Chris Olave as probably the earliest of these late picks that we're talking about, going at 117 overall?
I think Chris Olave does have some serious potential. I think he's kind of being forgotten about because we see all the hype that Michael Thomas is back, he's healthy. But I think Chris Olave still serves as the wide receiver 2 in this offense. I mean, whatever is said to be about that. I didn't really know of like Chris Olave in college. I mean, that's just personally me. I'm not, but I think he does have some serious opportunity to catch the deep balls. We know Jameis likes to throw deep, even though the secondary sometimes does catch those balls more than the wide receivers on his team. But I think the opportunity is there for him to succeed. I think, out of all the guys we've spoken of so far and will finish up speaking about, I think he should be drafted ahead of all the guys that we've mentioned, just based on opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Kenny. I mean, if Michael Thomas isn't there, they got Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave,
Juice.
and Kamara. They're going to have to throw. I don't think their defense.
I think their defense is nasty. Like, in a good way. Nasty.
Yeah, a good nasty, but I don't think their offense is going to be able to out. I'm not all the way buying into if Michael Thomas is back week 1, I think Chris Olave takes a little bit of a hit, but it's up in the air right now where Chris Olave is going to go. I'm fine with taking a late shot on him.
I don't have Chris Olave in my top 60.
Okay.
Which is,
I should say, I think we were higher. I think we were probably all higher on Chris Olave before we heard that Michael Thomas is back and is healthy.
Right.
Not saying he's again, Connie, you said you have him ranked below your top 60. I don't think it's not a boom bust play because, I mean, we have to see what Jameis does this year and how he responds from his injuries.
Right.
But we know Michael Thomas is present in that offense and is going to command a significant target share, in addition to having Alvin Kamara in that offense as well, catching those balls. So, and a guy that we may potentially speak about is Jarvis Landry. So again, they signed him. He's also going to be involved in the mix. I think he's going to serve the same role that he used to have in Cleveland. So it's going to be a battle in that Saints receiving core.
Yeah, I think that's what scares me off a little bit. And I just think consistent target-wise, like Olave's targets may be more valuable as far as downfield, like higher ADOT.
Right.
But I think Jarvis is going to get more looks just because of the nature of how the type of receiver he is and how he plays.
And how Jarvis throws the ball.
True. Jarvis can throw the ball.
Heard.
Jarvis will throw the ball to Jarvis, said Kenny. You heard it here first.
I think he did it. I mean, Odell was the primary ball tosser there after Baker, but Jarvis can swing it.
Yeah. I mean, Taysom Hill's out with an injury right now, so he could fill in that spot. And who knows? We've seen those guys on social media who can throw the ball 30, 40 yards themselves. But
so,
let's let Jameis do the throwing in that offense.
Okay.
So I do have a question for the two of you.
Okay.
Jarvis or Chris, who you take? If you can only pick one of the Saints wide receivers, has to be one of these two. Which one you picking?
I'm taking Jarvis easily, I would say.
Okay.
I'm probably taking Jarvis as well.
Okay. That's fair.
All right. It's a pretty civilized end to the episode.
Yeah.
We kind of kissed and made up after talking about Kyle Pitts.
That is a smelly debate.
Let's not get into the smells of this show. That could be a topic that
metaphorically speaking,
just nobody wants to hear about.
Yeah.
that is it for us today. We
Mhm.
will be back to round out the week with the NFC West. Pretty loaded division.
Nice.
A lot of fantasy relevant players, a lot of good teams.
Mhm.
We will cover them all tomorrow, and we will see y'all then.
See y'all.